Good evening. Welcome to the Norfolk Conservation Commission. Please be aware that this meeting is being video and audio recorded. We ask that everybody sign in, and the applicants to discuss their projects can come up to that first seat and sit down if you'd like, or take a microphone and talk from where you are. I welcome everybody tonight. The first thing on our agenda is a letter that Attorney Hill Law Group developed for us to send to 144 Seekonk Street. So if Dan or Liz,
Yes.
Please.
Thanks very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Elizabeth Pyle. I'm an attorney with Dan Hill, who's here today also from Hill Law. And we're here to talk about a potential enforcement matter for 144 Seekonk. And I distributed to you a prior report from Patrick Gardner that was from February of 2018, because I understand that there are some new members of the commission, and I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of the history of this site. And with this property, as in all enforcement matters, the goal of enforcement under the Wetlands Protection Act and under the local Norfolk Wetlands bylaw is to bring the property into compliance with the Wetlands Act and the bylaw. And the first step toward doing that is to do a investigation to determine if there has been a violation of the act or the bylaw, and then from there you determine what can be done about it. With this property, the commission, I believe, is in an investigation stage. The report from last year provides some initial evidence that there was filling in a wetland, in proximity to wetlands, in multiple wetlands, but it is not enough to proceed at this time because at the time of year that the initial site investigation was made, which was February of 2018, it was winter, and it was the wrong conditions to really investigate wetlands impacts and what was doing at the site. However, when Mr. Gardner was there in February of last year, he took photographs of recent, at that time, disturbance to the property that had been made without any order of conditions, and he took photographs and he made an analysis. Based on that initial analysis, he told me there were 3 areas of the property where he suspected that there was filling of wetlands or alterations that would be in violation of the Wetlands Act or the local bylaw, and that further investigation was necessary. In that report, the last page shows a map that Mr. Gardner highlighted with a highlight in blue. And then the second handout I gave you was just that same page again. So you see right on top, of the second handout, you see there's a photograph on the bottom that says figure 17, and then figure 16 is a map with a blue line and a blue circle on the left. So those are 2 potential areas that Mr. Gardner noted on this map, figure 16, where there were potential wetlands fillings. The most obvious area or likely candidate for wetlands alteration is shown in this figure 17 in Mr. Gardner's report, where there was an intermittent stream which intersected a trail and disappeared at the trail. And then on the other side of the trail, there was a large wet area, and that's shown on the second page of the handout that I gave to you in figure 7 and 8 on the second page. So you see on the second page of just the 2-page handout, there's a large standing water area that's been stripped and not connected to anything else. And Mr. Gardner believes that there's evidence here that the stream that's shown in figure 17 that just ends could have been connected to that large standing water area, and that the two were cut off from each other by the trail and the excavation that was done at the time. This is particularly significant because if there was a vegetated wetland in the area where there's standing water, and that vegetated wetland was connected to the intermittent stream, then the intermittent stream would be a jurisdictional resource area under the Wetlands Protection Act. But because the two have been severed currently, that stream is not jurisdictional, and it would be protected only under the local bylaw. So this is a significant area where there could be unauthorized filling of wetlands, and Mr. Gardner would need to go back on the site now to further investigate that. And as I mentioned before, in February of last year, it was the wrong time of year for that kind of investigation because it was not the time of seasonal high groundwater. This time for seasonal high groundwater is going on right now, and the best time to view seasonal high groundwater is in April and May. And so if Mr. Gardner can get on the site in the next few weeks in particular, then he could observe if there is any overland flow between that standing water area and where the stream was, and that would provide additional strong evidence that there used to be a channel there and that that channel was may have been severed by the work that was done. In order to determine forensically whether a wetland existed on a site and that may have been filled, Mr. Gardner will look for three things. Hydrology, like I just mentioned, whether there's overland flow, hydric soils, and wetlands vegetation. As part of what he would propose to do on the site, he would not only look for the overland flow, but he would take a soil auger and take soil core samples, and he could determine from there whether there was new fill placed on top of hydric soils, and that would provide further evidence that would support whether there was any filling of a wetland that was done. The soil auger could also provide evidence of wetland vegetation in terms of roots or debris that was in the soil. So taken together, all of those things would be compelling evidence if there had been a violation at this site. So this is the time of year that's best to get on there, and we recommend that the commission would go forward with requesting site access. In addition to the stream area, there are two other areas that Mr. Gardner thought might contain wetland filling. The first area is this large circle to the left of where the stream would be on figure 16, and that was an area of standing water that he observed that was not connected to anything else, but he thought that it was a possibility that it might be connected to the wetland that came below the stream. So he would do an investigation between that circle shown in figure 16 and the remainder of the vegetative wetland. And again, he would look for evidence of overland flow, soil sampling, and that kind of thing. And then there was yet a third area in figure 7 and 8, where there was another area of standing water. I'm sorry, I think the area, figure 7 and 8 was another area of standing water. And then figure 12 and 13 was the one that I showed you in the second handout. 12 and 13 is the area on the other side of the intermittent stream, and 7 and 8, figure 7 and 8 were another area. So there's 3 areas total that Mr. Gardner is going to investigate. And the next step is to request site access. So I provided a letter to the commission. That's a draft letter, and that we are hoping that the commission can endorse our sending that letter on the commission's behalf. And the letter requests voluntary compliance from the property owner, requesting site access by May 10th, which would be the ideal time to observe seasonal high groundwater. And the letter also states that if voluntary access is refused, that the next step would be for town council or myself, Mr. Mr. Hill to go to the Norfolk courts and get an administrative civil warrant to do a site inspection. And that's the next step. But we'd like to work with the landowner and obtain voluntary access if possible. But if that access is denied, there's another course for the commission. So we would suggest that you authorize our law firm to send that letter requesting voluntary access. We've given in the draft letter here a week for them to respond and to pick a date that's mutually agreeable by May 10th. And if they did not respond by that date, we would go forthwith to the court and seek an administrative civil warrant. To obtain a civil warrant, I would need an affidavit from a member of the commission or the agent, and we would work with you. I would draft that affidavit explaining the history, what evidence has been found, and then we would take it to court and proceed that way. So those are the first steps of doing the investigation. And depending on what the investigation found, then the commission would go from there, potentially issuing an enforcement order. But this is the time to do a neutral investigation and marshal the evidence and see where it leads.
Thank you. Regarding this project, we were given it in the fourth quarter of last year. And we saw the evidence from the planning board and what Patrick Gardner had done before. And based on that, we said, okay, let's start this. And we sent a letter in December, registered, didn't get a reply. So that's where we are today.
Okay.
But the commission itself, we're not prejudgment on this case at all,
Right.
whereas others may have been and seek, that there are violations. We want to go out there with an open mind with our agent and Patrick Gardner, and I'll bring him up in a minute, to view what's out there, do the measurements and everything that you explained. Patrick Gardner was just recently signed on to us, or by us, to be our agent for this investigation. It went out to bid, and he was the lowest bidder, and so we decided to go with him. We were hoping to get somebody else so there wouldn't be a conflict, or based on his previous studies, but we're fine with having it go out this way.
Sure, and I think that there's a benefit from him having seen the work previously, and that he has a fuller understanding of the site. But he's going to go out and do a neutral investigation. This is really a reconnaissance mission, and that's going to be the focus, just evidence collecting.
And if Mr. O'Hart wants to have an agent, or he can have his own consultant out there and do the same.
Absolutely, and we said then in the letter that if they agree to voluntarily coordinate with the commission, they can have their own wetland scientists there to observe. We can arrange a mutually agreeable date and time for the site inspection, and it could all be done within one day, and it would be a relatively simple matter.
Okay. Does anybody on the commission have questions? Have the new members been brought up to date on this?
I'm not too familiar with generally the site and what sort of why this alteration may have occurred, if there's a development on the site.
Sure. The site is just woodland right now, but in Mr. Gardner's report, he said that it looked to him like they were doing initial Title V septic analysis and whether the land would perk. And there was a lot of clearing, backfilling, hole digging that seemed like it was an initial Title V kind of analysis that was being done, but there was no permission for that at the time.
And this is all
Liz,
local.
maybe if I could maybe provide a little bit of context too. We've been looking at this site just because it's a site of a proposed large residential project, and this site was actually there was a proposed project back in 2007, I believe, and that didn't go anywhere. But the plan that's on the screen is a plan where wetlands were actually delineated, although the delineation I don't believe was ever submitted for approval by the Concom, but there was a wetland delineation done back 10 years ago, and this is the probable cause. And the only reason this is before the commission now is because of the development project that's being proposed. And the concern is that the wetlands are not accurately characterized on the plans that are before the zoning board. So, the zoning board needs to, weigh, among other things, impacts on the environment. The zoning board actually steps in the shoes of the Conservation Commission for purposes of Chapter 40B. So that's the timing is the reason we're here today is because of the timing with that Chapter 40B application. But this plan from 2007 actually shows the wetland system coming pretty far up in this direction, and the current plan that was prepared by the current developer, that wetland system stops somewhere over here. So, and this is an area that where Mr. Garner viewed excavation in a road. The reason Mr. Garner was involved last year is because the building inspector initiated a zoning enforcement action against the current owner for alterations without a permit. And that ended up in the zoning board's hands. The zoning board essentially affirmed the building inspector's enforcement order, but didn't assess any further fines. And that basically resolved itself. There was no appeals from that order. Does that
Yeah, that helps.
explain things? Okay.
The owner was given permission to put a road up into the property, I believe, and that's it. And he went a little bit further. But yeah, we're just concerned with the wetlands. And so that's why we're taking this action at this time. Since he didn't respond to the December letter, we need to go ahead because there's only a small window of time to get up there to see any vernier pools or any other kind of wetlands that may dry up as the spring goes on.
Understood.
If everybody's read the letter, if there's no more discussion, any discussion from the audience? Anybody want to speak? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to accept the letter dated April 11th with the Hill Law town, or letterhead, for referencing 144 Seekonk Street and getting visitation rights as laid out in the letter.
I'll make a motion to accept the letter as drafted by Hill Law, and for Hill Law to take all action necessary to obtain access to the site, including potentially pursuing an administrative search warrant if necessary.
Second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Nays? Abstentions? Passes unanimously. Okay,
Thank you very much. We'll keep you apprised of what happens.
Please.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is 2 Clark Street. And let me get my
What number is 6?
Okay, we need to vote to close the NOI 240-609. I don't think there's any other discussion, or is the property owner here? Okay, this is a long-term thing that's been out there, and we just administratively want to close up.
All right, we just, I mean,
Clark
this is
Street.
just notes, but we got Clark Street is 608, this is 609.
Is it 609 or 608, Amy?
608.
Because the minutes show 608. Thank you.
I believe it's 609.
609.
Because, March, it has 608. 240, 608.
I think that was a typo.
Can
Yeah, 608 is 102 Cleveland Street.
do you concur?
Yep, 609.
Okay, so it is 609.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to vote to close the NOI 240-609.
I'll make a motion to close the 2 Clark Street NOI 240-609.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, it passes. Okay, 273 Dedham Street.
Do you wanna issue the order too?
Not yet, we'll keep going.
Okay,
We'll get to
okay.
those, yeah. Thank you though, Amy.
The applicant, okay.
Good evening, Jim Susi with United Consultants. We've made a bunch of revisions to the site based on Beta's planning board comments. Once we get it up, we can go through it quickly.
Which one do we wanna look at?
I think this,
The top one?
yeah, the top one. Yes. Okay, again, the,
Large there, look. Okay,
there we
a
go.
little better.
Okay, so the property is located right here, just off the town line in the area of Sharon's Ave. Yep, please.
Jim, if you want, you can have this.
Oh, I've got this one if we
This
need
will
it.
actually change the, slide for you too.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Again, so there are the existing conditions. It's basically a wide open pavement to here, gravel area over there. You can see where we've done soil testing for the septic system in this location and soil testing for permeability for the drainage in that section. Next, please.
Amy.
Is that fine?
This one here, if you bend it just a
Can
little.
you move it up a little bit or shrink it a little bit, just so we can see the bottom part? Okay.
Okay. So we have rather large existing wetland here in the front, excuse me, along Dedham Street. There's an intermittent stream that goes out towards the back, and then you've got a rather large wetland system out in the back. 50-foot buffer approximately here. The 100 is here. From the original plan, we've moved the building forward a little bit, right to just off the edge of the 50-foot buffer. We had parking along both sides of the driveway coming in. We've eliminated all the parking on this side of the driveway coming in, and we just have 2 parking spaces here, one being a handicap to provide access to this door. We have an island with some parking and parking along this edge of the building, again with the other handicap to go to that door. This area right here now is a rather large landscaped island. Gas and electric will come in and get tucked into that side of the building over there. Prior, we had a rain garden in this area here and a dry pond out in the back. Those have been eliminated. We now have 3 underground recharge areas per Beta's comments. So before where we had a lot of country drainage going to that, we've gone now to a catch basin pipe manhole system. All of the catch basins, there are 5, are all helical separated catch basins. So they will all give 80% TSS removal, and they will all provide oil capture if there was ever a spill on the site. Previously, the display area for the equipment stuff was over here. We moved it to this area here because it was within the 20 feet to the front property line previously, so we moved that, so that complies, and then this will just be a crushed stone area to display the equipment. So basically all the drainage is gonna come to these 3 underground basins, and they get tied together through manholes, and the final outlet manhole goes down to a level spreader in this area here. It's approximately 75 feet long. And basically the pipe comes down, runs in the bottom of it. It's full of stone. And then on the outlet side, we have a piece of granite curb laid flat to act as a spillway that can be maintained at a constant elevation, and then a riprap splash pad on the downside of that. So between the energy dissipation within the level spreader, the spillway, and then the riprap in front, we really don't anticipate any scouring or any disturbance to the wetlands. The existing tree line is here, and we are proposing no work inside the old tree line. In fact, in this area here, we've got, if we get to the planting plan in a minute, we've got a row of arborvitaes to provide some screening, some dogwoods down in this area here, and then this area here, we have a very large habitat enhancement planting area, and then mature trees coming in off the driveway here, coming in along here, and a couple here on these islands. I come up just a little beautiful. Okay, here's the planting plan. So you can see the mature trees in this area here, along the front, and then basically this area here, the area coming along the edge of the driveway, this large island, this island, the back here, it will all be planted with shrubs. And again, like I said, we have the arborvitaes here, the dogwoods here, and then this area here up to the existing tree line would be the habitat plantings. Now, I did have a brief discussion with Janet today about the species. Now, we were before design review last week, and they were happy with what we had chosen for plantings. But like I said, we did have a conversation, and if there are one or two species that she's particularly not happy with, then we will change to a couple of species that makes everybody happy. I mean, the idea of this, there is a lot of planting around this building, but Mr. Maloof's business is to sell landscaping equipment and lawn tractors and whatnot. So we're really trying to make this building look as beautiful as we possibly can. Let's see what the next one is. Erosion control plan. Okay, so we've got a line of erosion control that will start over here at the edge of the 100-foot buffer zone, run down basically all along the tree line, come back on the back side of that, and come out and end over in this area here. So the entire site will be contained with the erosion control.
What
And-
type are you using?
Okay, the detail just up there is a 12-inch straw wattle backed up by a silt fence, backed up by a construction fence.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody should get the memo that nothing goes on the other side of the orange fence. One other thing we do have for during construction, in this area here, we have a rather large temporary sedimentation basin, and it is located off the edge of the pavement so that the entire site can be constructed and the access area is brought to binder pavement, at which time then we could remove the sediments and, you know, construct this area here, construct a level spreader, so that, you know, there really shouldn't be any issues with siltation coming towards the wetland. This is the lighting plan. That basically we have building mounted lights with the exception of 2 poles in this area here and here. And you can see we have fairly good lighting coverage and no spillage off the site. And basically the planting details, the lighting, sidewalks. If you go to the next one, I think it may have the level spreader. Here we go. So here's pipe would come down from that last manhole into the level spreader. It's filled with 4 to 6 inch riprap. And then we have the curbstone laid flat this way. And then the downside would be riprap as well.
Okay.
Basically it.
Janet, do you have a copy of all these?
I just got a couple of things at the beginning of the meeting, and I haven't gotten the plans yet. Okay, well, the snow storage,
Yes.
where did that end
Back to
up?
like page 3. Oh, back up 1. Great. Snow storage is going to be in this area here, and it's going to be a combined snow storage for this property as well as this property. They're all owned by the same entity. So rather than have piles all over the place, we've consolidated it to this will be everybody's snow storage area. And just as a, we have the material stockpile for temporary removal from the site to whatever, and it is located outside of the 100-foot buffer zone.
I'm sorry, could you just, what was the one up front?
This one here is the material stockpile for while they're excavating on site. If they don't haul it off
Oh, so
site
while they're,
immediately, they
while they're
would
working.
stockpile it
Okay,
here.
okay,
It's on pavement, and it's outside the 100-foot buffer zone.
okay.
Now, you don't have any erosion control on that side, do you?
Over here,
Yeah,
no, but currently there's that 10-foot
Fence.
high fence that's along here, so we really don't see anything coming out this way. And I believe the erosion control for the site comes along here and wraps down to the 100-foot buffer zone by that fence. So we could, typically, if there's going to be a stockpile area there, we'll put out some sort of temporary erosion control around the bottom. The straw wattle just temporarily until it's hauled off site or reused for something on the site.
okay.
Now, we do have a meeting set up for next Wednesday with Beta and Rich and Janet, I believe, to go over this project. They should have had a chance to review our revised plans and response letter, so we can sit down and pretty much go over everything between the two boards at that meeting. And
So at this time, you're looking for a continuance?
I would say, again, when Janet and I discussed it today, she would rather we continue, have that meeting, and then we're scheduled with the planning board on the 1st. So we would be through them, hopefully have their decision by the time we would come back to you, I
Me.
believe on the 8th.
And,
And then we could close with you guys and receive the order
okay.
and be done.
I think that's the best way to make sure all the different comments from
the
different
boards,
boards all
yeah.
get incorporated.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? So I'll accept a vote to continue NOI 601, 27-3 Dedham Street until May 8th at 7 o'clock.
Make a motion to continue notice of intent for number 601, 273 Dedham Street until 7 a.m., 7
PM.
p.m. May 8th, 2019.
8th, May 8th.
May 8th.
Yeah.
May 8th. Make it clear. May
2019.
8th, 7 p.m.
Okay. Second, is there a second? Okay. Any other discussion from the board? Then we'll take a vote. All in favor of continuing NOI 601 till May 8th at 7 o'clock, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, 2 Old Pond, NOI 240-611. We'll vote to close this, and then we'll vote to sign the
Does anybody-
intent.
does-
paperwork.
In case anybody has
Yeah.
questions,
But,
concerns.
yes. Does anybody have any questions on 2 Old Pond Street?
611.
Okay. So first, vote to close NOI 240-611.
Move to close 2 Old Pond Street, NOI 24611.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. It's closed. Oh, thank you. Okay, the enclave.
Hang on one second,
Oh.
please. Tomorrow morning? Tomorrow morning?
If you want to come up here on the table, you can. We think it's easier.
Close the enclave, okay. The enclave, too many papers, there's too many papers.
Amy, do you mind just pulling up the exhibit that I sent? I did bring some handouts too, if you folks just want to take one. Amy's gonna pull it up too, so. Yeah,
Thank you.
it's a little different.
Let me do it here.
Thank you. Oh, she gets one too.
This is what was sent out to us by email earlier.
Oh, Janet, did you forward it to the commission?
Somebody did.
Some-
Amy did.
Oh, you did, perfect, okay. I'll just start. So
Your
I-
name?
Randy Myron with Bowler Engineering, here on behalf of Norfolk Holdings, the applicant. I know when we met last month, I think the commission was generally, I think, comfortable with the project, with the exception of this, the wetland crossing that was being proposed. I think you folks had some concerns with really the impact of the wetlands and trying to minimize that to the best we can. So we met with Janet the other day, and the plan in front of you kind of reflects a little bit about what we talked about. I'll just briefly touch on what the crossing is going to consist of first, and then I'll talk about how we're kind of minimizing the impacts. The crossing itself, it is going to be built out of, or we're proposing it to be built out of this like fiber grate material, like a composite material that allows the sunlight to shine through, to allow the vegetation to grow beneath it. We also provided a couple photos of the area today, and you can see that it really doesn't dip down the crossing, so it doesn't need to be elevated that high. We're thinking just a couple feet high at the most, so it wouldn't require any railings or anything like that. And it'd be 4 or 5 feet wide. The other thing we did is, while we're out at the site, we took a look at that existing cart path, it's approximately 7 feet wide where it crosses that wet area, if you look at the photos. So the boardwalk that we're proposing would really just need to extend over that wet area. And with it being only 25 feet in length, figure maybe a couple additional feet on each side, we're thinking that the boardwalk would be roughly 30 feet long by about 4 or 5 feet wide. So roughly, maybe 150 square feet or so, something like that. And I think in our original NOI application, we had indicated that it would be significantly higher than that. I think it was 1,250. Right.
yes.
So, after a further look at things, I think it's going to be a lot less than what we had initially thought. And again, just to point out that the existing cart path is approximately 7 feet wide by that 25-foot length. So, as a result of this new crossing, the impact to the wetland should actually be a little bit less as a result of this new boardwalk. If you measure the square footages, 150 square feet versus I think 175 square feet for the existing cart path. And then just the other thing too I wanted to mention is just how the crossing is gonna be supported by these, they're called like helical piles that kind of screw into the ground. So the actual disturbance from those is really gonna be minimal. Those are only a few inches in diameter. So there wouldn't really be any excavation needed for like footings or foundations or anything like that. You simply just screw these things into the ground, and that's how the boardwalk is supported.
Have you ever had experience with those?
I have not, but I know that our wetland consultant that we're working with over at LEC, he has.
Okay.
Yep, and I'm sure he can work with Janet to come up with some language for those.
How far apart are the?
They're about, it's gonna vary, probably 5 to 6 feet apart over that, 30-foot length. So we're thinking you'll need, supported on each side, you might need maybe a dozen or so. Yep. That's really it. I don't know, Janet, if you wanna add anything else. We feel that this would be, actually a benefit when compared to that existing cart path and versus having people just walk through that wetland and trample down on all the vegetation as they do today.
What's the life of that fiberglass material, the
I mean,
composite material?
I think it's, versus, we looked at, using wood or something like that, but we want to use something that's obviously going to last and require minimal maintenance. So I think, I can't say for certain how long it's going to last, but I think it's going to last a lot longer than, say, wood.
And who's responsible for the maintenance?
The maintenance is going to be, yeah, the town, right? Go ahead, Tom.
Okay.
Well, it appeared that, I don't know if you caught that part of the meeting last week, that this was an agreement that with the neighbors of the property is something they very much wanted. And I don't think, whether we have the path or not, it's not gonna stop people from walking through. So I think we need a path that, and this is much better than wood. So it'll be a lot safer in the winter, having this porous, where the snow and ice would fall through, as opposed to a wooden structure where it's gonna cap and,
Sure. And plus light will get through it.
yeah.
I think this is a big improvement over what we had before us at the last meeting.
Yes.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate those efforts.
Any other discussion? Janet?
No, a lot better than what originally, because even DEP had commented about the filing and the impacts and,
They did.
now whether do you need replication, mitigation, whatever. So I think just focusing on exactly where's the impact, how much is the impact, the difference is just, I appreciate it, I really do. And like you said, hopefully, leading the people so they kind of stay to the path to reduce some of the impacts that have been going on to that area. So hopefully that'll restore back to where it was.
Yep.
When we were talking too, because I think you're still, what, ZBA, right? So we were talking about, you were comfortable with continuing to the next meeting to
We
make
would
sure.
like to continue. Yeah, our ZBA application is still open, and what we'd like to do is, based on all the cumulative comments that we've received as part of the ZBA process, and as also as a result of the Conservation Commission process, we'd like to get revised plans to you folks as well as to ZBA. This way, you're working from the same plans. So we would like to continue it.
When's your next meeting with ZBA?
April 24th. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, so that'll give you enough time to do their stuff, and if changes need to be to ours or whatever, so we can get it all wrapped up at some point. If they
For
make,
the next May meeting?
yeah, if ZBA makes changes with the plans at that meeting,
Right.
it's something that can get transferred over to, so we all have the same plans.
What is the next Conservation Commission
May
meeting?
8th.
I know you needed a couple of weeks to
do.
revise the plans after ZBA made its
Yeah, and we're still
final
doing
comments.
right, and we're still
Then
doing
it's
some.
June 12th.
Well, maybe we continue it to the May 8th.
Yeah, can we continue the May 8th? We
And
may have
then
a good feeling
need to-
about exactly what has to be done and be able to submit something to the commission that you could act on.
Okay.
If you ran behind, it's not a big issue to just let Amy or Janet know, and we just put in as a continuance to June, if you need to.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Jeff, just send something in writing so it'll be part of the file.
Is there any comments or
Okay.
questions from the audience? Any more from the board? I appreciate Norfolk's LLC's work on this and getting a nice boardwalk for the residents, and hopefully more townspeople might start walking through that area too. That's one of the things conservation would like, is we've got a lot of trails, but nobody knows about them, so we'll kind of highlight them. But no, I think this is a good thing. So right now, we just have to vote to continuance, correct?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming these helical screw supports are just simply screwed in with a machine?
I've never witnessed them being put
Mhm.
in, but from what I've seen, yes, it's a machine that almost can be handheld, and you
Mhm.
just screw them in. There's very little impact on it.
Yeah, no, it seems.
I think that, just like Randy had said, that, probably decreasing the width of the path going across the stream is probably gonna actually be more than ample mitigation to allow the wetland to grow back.
I think that's a fantastic solution.
Okay, thank you.
Good idea, thank you.
Okay, then I will, with no other questions, accept a motion to continue 240-610 until the May 8th meeting at 7:10.
I'll move to,
Just a note,
Yes.
we do have the Cleveland and Fruit Streets are scheduled
Oh,
for May 8th as
sorry,
well.
okay. Why don't we do
We didn't
7:50?
give him a time yet, though.
We continued,
We didn't give him a, okay.
yeah.
And we gave them the time? Okay, so why don't we do 7:15 is probably a good one. Is there a second to the motion to continue
We
until?
need to make the motion, I think.
What's that?
I think we still need to make
Yeah,
the
I
motion.
Oh, you got,
I was in the
okay, you
process,
continue it, yeah.
I'll move to continue the Enclave project, notice of intent, number 24591, to the next meeting.
Oh,
Nope,
sorry,
nope.
2/6/10. 246:10.
Oh, I'm sorry, 610.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
We appreciate it.
Where's somewhere in my May?
May 8th and 15th.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, our next item is the Cranberry Heights request for determination.
Oh.
We just received for the meeting.
Sorry.
Okay, the letter from Andrew Survey on behalf of Abella Rosa Stables. It says, please accept this letter as a formal request to withdraw without prejudice the request for determination of applicability for the work proposed within the jurisdiction areas associated with the above subdivision. We hope this serves your needs at this time. Should you have any questions, please contact us. So where does that leave us?
This just came in,
Yeah.
they're withdrawing their application, end of story,
So we don't need to vote, we don't need to do anything.
the end.
I think you vote to accept the withdrawal.
Yeah, what's that? Oh.
Make a motion to,
What's, oh, yeah.
make a motion to accept the withdrawal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Now, there is wetlands there, as long as they don't develop in the area, a pathway or something, right?
Right.
Okay.
We don't know why.
DCR, Lakes and Ponds, NOI 240-603. We need a vote to close that. Is there anybody from DCR? Okay, so,
I move to close DCR Lakes and Ponds NOI
Second?
I'll second it.
Any comments, questions? Everything was discussed over the last couple of months, so I think we're all fully aware of what's going on there. It's to clean the vegetation out of the ponds and lakes that they have. All in favor of closing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Passes.
Okay, awesome.
N-Star. We, anybody from N-Star? Okay. Vote to close NOI 240-602.
I move to close NOI 240-602.
Second.
And again, this has been discussed over the last probably 6 months or so, about the start of adding more poles into the high-tension area. So, all in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Abstentions? It passes. Okay, City Mills Dam, NOI 240-604. Any comments?
Nope, I'm here for that.
Should we table that for a while? No. We need a vote to close the City Mills Dam so they can start their work. All in accept a motion.
Move to close the hearing on City Mills Pond Dam, NOI 240-604.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Passes?
Hang on one sec. If someone wants to come by tomorrow morning and pick that up,
Digital and all. I'll touch base with
You're leaving about 3 hours earlier than last month.
you. Don't remind me.
Okay, the 102, 104 Cleveland Street, 15 Fruit Street, 17 Fruit Street is continued until May 8th, per the request of the applicant.
All three of those, Dave?
4.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all one development of 4 houses, and they need to get some more information together for us.
That was the one that didn't had the wetland delineations done, but we hadn't looked at them yet. Janet wasn't able to go out. They had the 4 lots.
Right?
Yes, and he had somebody
me, I
do
went
it, but Janet hasn't reviewed
I
it.
went out. It was frozen solid.
Right, yeah, and then we said we had to wait till May
Right.
15th.
Yeah, same with the vernal pool. They've hired someone and, it's just, now you're in that window, so, continuing it to May 8th should come up with,
You'll have time to get out there, you think?
right. She'll be going out there. I mean, if I get invited, I would go along, but, but by May 8th, when you go out, if you're in that season, it's either a yes or a no, so with that, then they can go on with whatever they're doing. And we have a time for that they're continued to?
I had 7 o'clock. I'm not sure.
Okay, leave them at 7.
Just-
Yeah.
So I'll entertain a motion to continue those 4 until May 8th at 7 o'clock.
7 PM.
Make a motion to continue 102 Cleveland Street, NOI 240-608, 104 Cleveland Street, NOI 240-605, 15 Fruit Street, NOI 240-606, and 17 Fruit Street, NOI 240-607, till May 8th at, what time?
7.
At 7 PM.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Fine, no.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It passes.
All these people, there's so many seconds.
Okay.
Okay, the next action item, what time is it? Okay, is the Norfolk Landing Open Space Deed. And it's you have the deed, Amy? And it's a piece of land that was given to the town, and we need to sign it and then send it over to the selectmen for their signature, and then it'll be accepted by the town. It's by Priscilla Avenue, in that section of town. It's a small little, how many, do you know the square footage, Janet?
Sorry, I totally lost. Norfolk Landing, Tailwind, the old airport area.
Yeah,
It's the open, they have that little cul-de-sac with maybe,
It's 4.62 acres, plus or minus.
it's the open space parcel at the end of that cul-de-sac subdivision.
That's off of by the airport.
It's near my house.
What's that?
It's near my house.
Yeah. Now you can play on it with town property. Okay.
River Road or Miller? North or south?
Break dance all over.
Yeah. Oh, okay, along the side.
Yeah.
I gotta pick it
There's a
up.
little-
So I'll entertain a motion to accept this parcel of land from Norfolk Development and Construction. Registry of Deeds, Plan number 47 of 2012, in Plain Book 6112. And Amy will have it, so you don't have to repeat that.
I'll make a motion to accept the deed as stated by the chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It passes. So if everybody would sign this. Pass it this way first.
You can let them off while you share.
Yeah.
Is it also where Myrtle Street is?
Is that in relation to, like, this area?
So if
Sam, you can come up
if you go up to like
to,
Myrtle Street, this
get
way,
ready
take
to
a
discuss
left,
your
Go
project.
past the Age Day School, take
Yeah.
the first right after the school,
Yeah.
go down that way, go to
Okay.
the end of that street, take a left,
Yeah.
and then take your first right. It's right there.
Explore that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sam. Nice meeting you.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Okay, we'll start in a couple minutes. We have to start on time.
Trying to figure out where I am.
Down and under appointments.
No, I'm trying to figure out
Oh.
where I am.
Alice Street.
I think we need to sign.
You know where Alice is?
Well, I certainly know where Campbell Forest is.
Campbell, yeah, in
Where's
Campbell
Needham?
Forest, it ends over here.
Yeah.
And so what he wants to do is connect it to the, I believe, to those trails.
Where's
Because
the-
there's no
Right.
real trail there.
Oh, okay, I got you. Alice is over here, so Norfolk Street's coming up.
Yeah, this is,
That's
Main Street.
That's that's me right
That's you.
there. No, this is my backyard.
Oh, okay,
It
this
doesn't
back
show
here?
the house.
Yeah?
Oh, this is my neighbor.
Oh, okay, that's Jeffson.
Yeah.
And Maurice, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so he's gonna come,
Kind
From
of nice
Alice.
project.
Over and connect to the Campbell Forest trails.
Right.
Again, I believe.
and then they come back out, obviously over by you.
Yep.
And do they come out on the other little, is it, not Evans Way, what's the other little street that comes right in back here?
Alice is the main,
No, Alice is, yeah.
yeah, I don't know
It
which
comes
street
off
you-
the main
oh,
street.
the other subdivision?
Yeah.
I'm not aware of a trail going through there. I don't know if we have any
Then
public
there's a
access.
tiny little strip it shows on the map that goes back to Needham Street, but I have no idea where that
The Needham
is.
Street, okay. All right, we have Sam Woodward from Troop 80 of Norfolk that would like to volunteer for for an Eagle Scout project. It's all yours if you'd pick up a microphone, and you feel free to sit at the table. And let us know what you're proposing.
So I'm Sam, and I have an idea for a project. It's a brief overview, ready, of a trail from Alice Street connecting to the main trails that are already there. I've taken a few walks back there to check out the area, and it kind of starts out, it has 30 yards maybe or so of clearing, and then it just stops. There's nothing there. So I'm hoping to continue that, and I've noticed in the back there that there is going to be some work needed to complete it. I have a few pictures that I had from the main entrance here at Alice Street. and I'm also at the exit. That's where it would end up on the main trail. There's also a few marshy
Where is this on the main trail?
It
You think it'll connect?
it would connect because I
No, but where on that main trail?
it's around the curve that goes around the hill.
Where there's been some tree removal down at the bottom of the hill?
Yes.
Okay, the water department was looking for water there.
Oh, all right.
They hit granite. Yes. So yeah, okay, go ahead, continue.
And so I was thinking of creating a few footbridges that would go over the marshy areas and the small little streams there. I have a more detailed picture of the bridges that I could create at third page, I believe. So it would start out with a 10 by 10 railroad tie that we would use as a foundation into the ground to keep it sturdy. We have 2 by 8 planking that would go across the top of that railroad tie, and then 2-inch planking that would go like a ladder over the top of it. And all of the wood would be pressure treated wood, so it wouldn't rot away.
The new green wood, green pressure treated?
I think that's, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I was thinking, more along the lines.
Okay. Yeah, it can touch the ground, versus in the past, some of that treated wood can't touch the ground for whatever reason, so.
Chemicals.
My Home
leach
Depot
out,
days.
Yeah, chemicals leaching out.
Yeah. Okay, continue, I'm sorry, Sam.
So they would be about 20 inches wide, just to make it reasonable to walk on. Hoping to make, it seems like it would be around 5 of them or so, maybe, that would need to be back there. It starts off pretty dry, and then there's a smaller section in the middle that becomes wet, and then once you get over that, it becomes dry again. So that's mostly in the middle is where they would go. And then also near the end, I have a picture of the hill that goes up. That I can see if it was cleared out, if it ever really rained, it would create kind of a gully of a trail. So I was thinking maybe put in some stairs that would keep the dirt in place so it wouldn't erode away. And that's a possibility just to sustain the trail over a longer period.
Stairs made of stone or of wood?
It's, you take a piece of wood, a large piece, and you
Dig it in.
yeah, you dig out a little bit and then put it in, so then it keeps the dirt in place behind it, and you do it up until you get to the top, so nothing really, it stays in section.
What would you use, like a 6x6 pressure treated, or
Probably somewhere
you don't
along.
have to go to the 10x10?
I'm not sure.
No, that would be good. It'd probably be easier for people to walk up that hill, because some people aren't fit and would have a hard time going up that hill.
All right.
So that's a good idea.
And I think what I had estimated for the lumber on the second page was $600 to $800. I was hoping to get this through fundraising or donations from different places, and that should be taken care of mostly. I was also in the project itself. Other scouts and other people willing to volunteer would help out with the project. So it wouldn't just be me working back there. And most vegetation we would have to clear out smaller vegetation mostly, avoid anything really big because we would never want that.
Yeah. Is there a clear trail? I mean, can you kind of visually see where a trail might have been?
There's only a few sections where it seems obvious. In the middle is where it really gets confusing.
Yeah.
At the beginning and end is when you can kind of see possibility.
Okay.
But
'Cause I saw a guy come out of Campbell Forest, and I lived right there. And so I asked him, where'd he come from? Because there was no car or anything there. And he said, I walked through from Alice. And he said, there is a trail. And I said, oh, okay. And so, but I've never been able to look at Google Maps or Google Earth and really try to define it and I've got some health problems, so I can't go walking out there. But this is a project that I think would really help the community. And that's what we encourage, is having trails. We've got a lot of forest around the town and that aren't used and could be really good for people. Okay, so your next step would be, if we approve this tonight as a project for you, what's the next step?
I would have to create a larger, more planned out proposal, and it would mostly be like more of a contract kind of plan that you would have to sign off on. I would have to bring it to, I think, an Eagle Board of Review, and once they approve it, along with a few other signatures, then I could move forward with the rest of the project.
When do you anticipate starting this project? If everything goes...
It goes smoothly. It should begin over the summer, I'm hoping. I'm not exactly sure when over the summer, because certain signatures may take longer developing the whole plan, but
Okay.
that's larger view.
And how do you plan on flagging?
I was hoping just to either take a few of the small flags and just put them throughout on the ground leading up to the area, or...
What we were suggesting, Janet and I talked about this, is you know the colorful tape that they have? Is use that, and you can put it on live trees or whatever, and every 10, 15 feet, put one on, so you always see where the next one is. And that way it becomes permanent. If maybe with the stakes, they might fall over, somebody might steal them. Nobody's really gonna take the electrical tape off of the trees.
If I might.
Yes.
They have it. I'm sorry. If you ever watch the crime shows, you know how they always do that caution, do not. No, but they have rules. They have,
It's
fluorescent.
like a ribbon.
Yeah, but they
It's not
have them at.
adhesive, and you just can tie a
They
knot
have
on
them
a
at
little
the,
branch.
we call them the box stores, you know, like the Lowe's and Home Depots or whatever. You can get a roll. It's almost like a roll of masking
Sure.
tape. And it's stretchy, and then you could use that to mark, because we were discussing maybe marking it first, so it could just double check, because we don't want you doing a lot of damage to resource areas that we
Like you
yell at
said.
everybody else, you know. So it can just check first, make sure it looks good, you know, before you go too far along, in case things need to be moved a little bit or something.
And once you flag it, we'll have Janet go out there, and any members that wanna go out there. And she
Oh,
loves to
no.
walk in the woods.
Oh, no.
And you have to take us. And we'll follow the trail with you and make sure it all makes sense, and then you can start digging.
I've got a couple of questions for you. Have you thought about signage at that end of the trail so that people know where the trailhead begins?
I have looked there, and there is a sign for
Does
the
it say
trail.
Campbell Forest?
It says
I've
Campbell
only ever gone in
Forest.
from the north side, North Street side.
Yeah, there's a sign there. It has the whole bit, everything with it.
What do you
But
mean,
then
the
it
whole
just
bit?
does. It just has. It says Campbell Forest.
Town
it
forest
has
and so
the
on.
town
Okay.
forest.
Does it have a map on it?
It doesn't have a map.
Okay, because at the other end, it's a very simple thing. It's like on the insert of a box on a tree, but inside of that, there's a map. So you might want to think about something like that.
What we
And-
could, I'm sorry,
On
what
the
we could do is
Alice
put it
end.
on both ends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Update
sure.
that one.
Yeah, you would need that so
Sure.
that people that now know that
Yeah.
you can go through. And also, I'm not familiar whether there's parking on the Alice Street side, public parking.
There is not parking.
The dead end,
area.
yeah.
Isn't there a little road that just stops?
It stops, but the problem is on the left side there's a driveway. So if anyone was to
Ah.
park there, it would block the driveway. There's really only one place you can park, and it's pulling into the right, which is right next to someone's lawn.
Okay.
And that's private property, it's not town land.
Yeah. What we might want to do is look about expanding the parking in the forest itself a little bit. Cutting down a few trees and.
Baby steps.
I know. I said, think about it, think about it. Well, think about it.
He's got a lot of work ahead of him.
Oh, no, and not that it would be part of your project, but as the commission and working with maybe the town or something like that. But,
But yeah, I think flagging would be great, because
Yeah.
it would keep you going in a certain direction, as I'm sure you've been in there, and you can get turned around pretty easy when it's not a clear path, so that would be a good start.
Yeah.
When do you plan on starting to raise funds?
Raising funds, I think that would only begin after all
Everything's
the
approval, yeah,
Um,
because it has to be used for that purpose.
yeah, then I think there's really 3 stages of approval, raising funds, getting all the materials together, and then actually completing it and finishing up all the paperwork. But I think that's the order it would go in overall.
I do have somebody you might want to talk to, but you seem to have it all well under control, and I've got copies for you too. It's a gentleman out of Walpole who is part of the Walpole Trail Commission, and he loves developing trails and knows all about trails and this and that. And so, just as a reference, it came up at a CPC, Community Preservation Commission meeting, because we're talking about some trails. And they met with Walpole, and this guy was all bubbly about them, and so I got the name and number, and I think that's the right number. I got that out of the internet. But that it might be just a resource if you needed one. And it'll be good for us in future for some of, like, Lynn Farms and stuff like that, where we really need some help designing trails, and even on the property on the Gumps property.
Yeah, also, if this does go forward, there, blazes on trees to mark the trail. On the existing trail, there are like these aluminum circles with
Yeah,
the arrows in them.
Boy Scouts
Some of
did
them
that.
probably need to be replaced, so maybe that could be something the town could, or we could do.
We could do, yeah, I think, and again, talking with Janet, it'd be nice as we start developing these trails and and enhancing the current trails like Campbell Forest, is put some signage out there and maybe name the different trails, and so that people know where they're going.
Yeah.
And they have some, and then your point about having the map is a good idea, and we could have that maybe in a couple places, so here you are, so people know they're not lost.
Right.
Is there more than one trail running through?
It's a loop.
It's a loop,
Yeah.
Okay.
but
So-
no, really, you can't get lost, but
It's a long section and then a loop. It's almost like a panhandle
Yeah.
with the pan
Mhm.
part of it. And he'd be
okay.
connecting at the far end of it, so it would change. I mean, new maps would be required, trail maps.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about the arrows. If there was different trails, they could be different colors or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and name a trail, and Bob's Trail is blue, and,
You could do red trail. It'd be like the
And for the Boy
LBTA.
Scouts.
yeah,
Be the red line and the green line, and
the orange line.
that's a very ambitious project.
Yes.
Yeah, congratulations, coming up with that.
Are there any other questions for Sam? At this time, we should
Oh.
probably take, what?
I'm sorry, just remembering other Eagle Scout projects that come through, they usually, and I don't know at what stage, but they would usually hook you up with someone from conservation. So if you need to, I need to come to the meeting, or I'm having a problem, sort of like a big brother
liaison,
or
yeah.
sister,
He's a boy.
no, I'm saying whether it was big brother or big sister.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. It's not all about you, David, but just,
I feel like
just,
some people generalize and say thank you, gentlemen, when they're leaving, so I appreciate it.
but just, at some point, so you have a contact,
Make it easy communication with you.
Okay.
And then, yeah, as I say, once you come back to us, we'll take a vote on it. I guess this is more for information for us. And I think there's a
great
consensus that everybody is in favor of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, please go forward. We like these kind of projects from Boy Scouts or whatever organization. The Lions are going to take care of Campbell Forest apparently this spring. There's trees down and some of the growth and all. And what we've said is come in, put the growth back, push it back a little bit more off the trail, cut up the logs that are over the there are the trees that are over the pathways and stuff like that, and so people can walk it again. So, that'll be happening hopefully probably in May, or so they have to come back to us.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for coming, Sam.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thank you.
Good night. It's night.
Good night.
Give someone the
Okay,
folder
give this
back.
to those.
Give this to those. Give this to those.
Okay,
You had more than one, I think. What was this?
correspondence, the Norfolk Trout
Whatever was
Club
signed.
Annual Summer Report.
Oh,
I
that's
think
the
you all got
difference.
copies on that.
Yep.
That is just goes into the file. There's no update on the PIP.
Right.
And,
Okay.
other than that, we're, good to go after we sign everything,
Right.
I believe. Do we need,
Such a good project.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and the
Kenny
minutes.
Ponds and Everett Street? Do we need to, you have those under action items, orders, or extensions?
Yeah,
Right.
the papers are here, you just need to vote to approve them.
Okay.
The other orders.
So, 27 Everett Street is a request for certificate of release? Okay, I'll entertain, and what's that project?
It was, I forget what he was doing, if it was septic or something. It's an old, they had an order of conditions which expired.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
now they need to clear up the deed on the property.
Very
Okay.
old.
Yeah. So
Okay.
this is a certificate of
Yeah.
release.
Okay, I'll accept a motion for OOC 240-514, for certificate of release.
I'll make a motion to release the certificate for 27 Everett Street, OOC 240-514.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It passes.
Okay, so
18 Kinney Pond Road, OOC 240-546, request for extension of orders of conditions.
the order of conditions that's still current expires in September, so there's a new owner. So they're asking for an extension, which gives them, 3 years, so it'll be
Okay.
September 2022.
And this is concerning,
One of the house lots over at the Keeney Pond, whatever subdivision.
oh, okay, so it's
A new
a
lot.
potential house lot.
No, the lot's been there and they've had order of conditions. I think
Oh.
somebody might have bought it, maybe started, and then, so here comes another person to take over on this lot. So just to keep that paperwork going.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for 18 Kinney Pond Road, OOC 240-546, request for extension of orders of conditions,
It's a 3-year extension.
3-year.
I'll make a motion to issue a 3-year extension of order of conditions for 18 Kenny Road, OOC number 240-546.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It passes.
6-0, good.
So now we only have minutes to go over.
You have the, 5 orders that
Just-
you approved, you closed the.
Yeah, we need to
business
sign.
meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we can do that after we close the meeting, right?
Do you
No.
need to vote to issue?
Right, during,
During the meeting? Okay.
yeah.
Let's go to the January 9th minutes. Has everybody read them? Those that can vote on them? So there's 2 new members cannot.
2 or 3.
What?
2 or 3.
January 9th?
Yeah, 2 or 3 members. I think it's just,
I think everybody can vote on it, even if they weren't actually there,
Okay.
just to accept the minutes.
yeah, as long as,
You're not
4.
confirming it's in.
Yeah. Okay.
You need a mo- I make a motion to accept the January 9th, 2019 Conservation Commission minutes.
January 9th. Right, you said, okay.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. March 13th. I was absent, but I did watch the movie. But I had at least popcorn and beverage, and I could enjoy it sitting at home. You guys did well, and ladies. Any questions, comments on the March 13th?
Oh, they brought up about changing the DEP file number on 2 Clark Street to 609.
Yes.
Did you put in the plan stuff and that in these? Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
About a 5.5 pound bass over in Mirror Lake the other day.
Did you really? Wow.
What?
5.5 pound bass.
From where?
No, can't tell you. You don't live in town.
Largemouth or smallmouth?
Large. I got 3 5+ pounders so far this season.
It's amazing.
Shiner?
What are you using, a shotgun?
Fishing
Dynamite.
out of a boat or a
Kayak, yeah.
Holy
Kayak, yeah.
cow.
I live right next to the lake.
Those are big, though.
What kind of bait?
Artificial. Jig.
Huh?
That's not fair. Live bait, and that way if they get it, they've earned it. That's,
But they don't get to keep it.
Yeah,
No. If you talk to a
Sometimes
fisherman,
they
like,
do, yeah.
it's cheating.
wow.
That's impressive for this
Yeah.
part of the country.
You practice catch and release, good conservation.
Oh, of course, yeah. I do. I'm always catching.
But you took those home to eat, right?
I
No,
just took a picture.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't need a trophy anymore. You just take a picture with your phone.
yeah.
I actually fish competitively in a kayak fishing league, and the way you measure your fish is you lay it on
Yeah.
a plastic ruler and take a photo of it, and then everybody adds up the length of their 3 biggest fish.
Mhm.
It's all catch and release.
Yeah, no, that's better than throwing them in a tank for the day.
Wow.
Right, what do we got left here?
Jim's still going over
Oh.
March 13th. Let's see who's in charge. I'll let him.
Try to keep it under 4 hours.
You want to start passing around those things we need to sign?
Sure.
I have this one,
Is that Keeney Pond? Yeah, I don't have that.
the WPA form.
Yeah.
Do we sign on the front here where it says, okay.
Sorry, boss.
I did that early on.
You left out all the niceties that the guy said. You just kind of paraphrased it.
Oh, yeah. that-
7 pages apparently.
Hey, you guys
That
want
was
to
epic.
this one?
Which one are you talking about?
The madman?
Oh, the guy that
Oh,
accused the
when he brought
previous
his
board
daughter?
of unethical
Yeah, yeah.
behavior,
Yeah.
even though
He left pretty
the
calm,
letter,
though.
the letter from, there was a letter before after the meeting, that he alleged everything was okay, that she had stated that everything was not okay.
Really?
Yeah. The one that we had to go to, he had a wall built, like a circular wall, and he was supposed to put in vegetation.
He was showing pictures from
Yeah.
like 2016.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, yep, enough said.
Mm.
Enough said.
we vote on the minutes, then that'll be the end of this meeting until May 8th. All good? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the March 13th minutes of the Conservation Commission.
Make a motion to accept the March 13th meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You
With the
started
one
this one,
correction on the Clark Street to 609. All in favor is aye. Opposed? Abstentions? It passes. Not having any more business,
Well-
I'll end.
You're not closing it, right?
No, I wouldn't do that. We're getting all the signatures.
Oh, okay. No, I'll do this later, sorry.
So if you just wanna go down and vote to issue the orders for each of those,
I thought we already did.
we just closed it, we voted to close the hearing, we just voted to issue the orders.
Okay. Down below,
On those last four?
the Clark Street Old Pond, City Pond,
Well, yeah, and also,
DEP, DCR.
yeah, and then Star.
Oh, okay.
Did anybody have any changes or for the attachment As or anything?
No,
Okay.
well done. I try to find something in there that I can
Were there
correct.
four that we get a vote on? On
Five,
street,
I think.
DCR, and Star and City Mills?
It's everything that's in the file, right?
Yeah, there are
Okay.
five.
Five, okay.
Okay, once Alex finishes signing, I'll read them off and we'll go to sign.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes.
Yeah, this one. These three.
So the commission still needs another member or two. So if you're, the
Yes.
audience, and people watching this on YouTube, if you're interested in joining the Conservation Commission, please come into the Conservation Office. And here, Alex, I'll take those.
Or they could send a letter.
Or send a letter to us and we'll,
Emails, we'll take emails.
and emails. And you can get all that information on the website. Okay, the first one we vote to sign is order of conditions for the town of Norfolk. NOI 240-604. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept NOI, the brief number.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes. Order of conditions for N-Star, 240-60T, 602. All in favor of, I'll entertain a motion to sign, vote to sign.
I move to sign the N-Star Eversource NOI.
Order of conditions, isn't it?
Order of
Issue the
conditions,
order of
yeah.
Second, Alex. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Order of conditions for DCR 240-603. I'll entertain a motion to sign.
Make a motion to sign and issue the order of conditions referenced by the chairman.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Order of conditions for Gray Realty Trust for 2 Old Pond Street, DP 240-611. I'll entertain a motion to sign.
I'll make a motion to accept.
First.
All in favor?
Second.
Okay, all in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Super.
Order of conditions for the Department of Corrections, 240-609. Wait a minute,
609.
609
No.
is right.
is it?
Yeah,
I thought that was 2 Clark, no, that's 2 Clark Street, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, 240-609. I'll entertain a motion to vote to sign it.
Make a motion to sign.
Second?
Second. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Okay, that being the end of our business, I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Motion to close the meeting?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. The meeting is closed. Thank you.
Thanks.
Don't run away.
I know this stuff.
Don't run away. We have to make sure we sign.